Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. I've got Quentin Woods with me today. He's our guest. He is District 1 Birmingham City Council counselor.
Yes, sir.
For District 1. District 1 is...
We're out on the eastern side of town. Think Centerpoint Parkway, Jeff State, Highway 79, kind of nestled in there, Huffman community. So, it's out east. The last flyer to Birmingham you're going to hit on your way to Atlanta. So we're excited to be here and good to see you again.
And thanks for taking the time to be on our show. It's great to have you.
Absolutely.
You're just coming out of a rather big event in our city.
Yes.
The World Games.
Right.
If you can give us, from a city councilman's perspective, pre and post commentary.
Right. So, the World Games has been a pretty big theme for the last 4 or 5 years. Really working towards trying to be ready for it. And for me, didn't have a great frame of reference for exactly what to expect, and so I was just looking forward to going out and checking it out. And so we were working hard to make sure we had things in place. Administration did a tremendous job. A lot of folks on that team came together to make sure everything was in place and make sure our facilities were ready, because it was a very ambitious undertaking. And so when you're bringing something like that in, number one, you just want to execute. You want to make sure all the games get played, everybody gets their medals, and you want to avoid any incidents. And so we felt like we did that. I felt like we got the World Games 2022 done successfully. No major incidents. All the games were played, and just had a chance to go out, check out all the venues, watch a lot of games, and I was impressed. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was something really good, bringing it back to the United States for the first time in about 4 decades, and having it right here in Birmingham, I thought was incredible. So, a lot of lessons to be learned from it, hosting such a big event, but hopefully this won't be our last big event. We've already got World Police and Fire coming, 2025. You got March Madness coming next year, so a lot to be excited about.
So we have March Madness coming?
Right, yeah, so March Madness is coming. We've got the men's coming up, and then the women's will be the following year. And so just exciting, kind of upgrading our facilities locally to kind of put us back in the map to get those events. And so, we all love March Madness, and being able to have that right here in Birmingham is special.
Well, I agree with you, and I know putting on an event, any of those events, costs money.
Oh, yeah.
And I know the city spent money, and other private entities contributed to the spending of money.
Right.
And there's been some talk about, of course it's too soon to tell probably, but the economic impact on the city. Do we have any idea at this point what we think we did as a result of our investment? Right,
yeah, we're all asking the same questions, and the smart folks are going away with the numbers and just trying to compile everything. And, you look at that, we want to see the numbers, the economic impact, and then we also look at the intrinsic value. But, we're waiting.
Over and above that, there's a value to simply the exposure to the world.
Oh, yeah. Here in Birmingham, we've got people think Birmingham, people think the South, they have an opinion of it. And so this, I thought, would a really, really long way of changing that. So a lot of people internationally, you hear Birmingham, Alabama, they're thinking back to the 60s, things like
Correct.
that. And to come here and just really be able to see a melting pot for people from all over the world, over 100 different countries, to come here and be comfortable and have a great experience, to take that back about Birmingham, but also getting a chance to be on the national stage and just proving that we're capable of holding this type of event. It's just kind of growing that economic base. You want to always be like recruiting, whether you're looking to bring in businesses to your area, or whether you're trying to grow that economic base. And so these type of events, while you want to have a big event and have a big economic impact during that time period, you want to see the ripples of that carry you forward. So
yeah, isn't it essentially marketing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can look at it from that point of view. There's definitely a big argument and a big benefit to doing this in marketing and working with these CBS and other big partners to just show what we can do. Coming off the USFL, and that was a deal pretty much worked out, and Fox was a partner in that. And so having those networks here, having them be able to see that you come here, you have a great experience, we can be great partners, and they are keeping their headquarters here in Birmingham. And so that's just kind of some of those things that kind of come together when you can give people a good experience, where you can execute and deliver, what you told them you could. You get second opportunities, you get to retain people, And that's just part of growing and where we want to go. We've got to do a good job of that.
Well, having been born and raised in Birmingham, like I was, and I'm guessing you were, I don't know, we never had anything like this until the recent time frame.
Right.
So I'm with you. We need to be marketing the Birmingham now and not the Birmingham
100%,
of old.
100%.
How's the city council doing in terms internally? Everybody getting along? You know what? I haven't noticed any fights this recently like we had once upon a time.
Man, I tell you, it's getting boring up there. So everybody gets along pretty well. I think we've got a good rhythm of working together and resolving conflict. Conflict is just a part of if one or more people are gathered, there's going to be some conflict at some point. But I think we got a lot of good people on the team, and I think everybody really, when there is disagreement, you handle it the right way and kind of work through it. So I'm excited about kind of seeing what we are able to accomplish together as we go. But yeah, I mean, it's been great. I know coming to the council, when I came in, one of my biggest goals and focuses was to take the entertainment value out of municipal government, because you shouldn't be getting your popcorn and sitting down to watch municipal government. And so we've accomplished that. I think we've got to continue to set shared goals and shared priorities and kind of keep accomplishing things. But I'm excited about the potential this group has.
Well, just hold that thought. I want to talk to you about some of the plans for the future in our city when we come back from break. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm talking with Clinton Woods, Birmingham City Councilman. So you have shared with us some things that have been going on, some things that are about to go on. What other items are on the horizon for Birmingham that our viewership would be interested in knowing about?
Yeah, so I think right now where we are, you look at the city, you look downtown, you look at our, uptown, you look at the Progressive Stadium, we've got some landmarks, Legion Field. And so now it's just about how do we ripple out? Like, how do we ripple out what's going on downtown as a whole? There's a lot of great projects happening there. You're starting to see like the demolition just began on the old Caraway Hospital, and so you're starting to see that move towards this new development that's going to include a lot of amenities. And so you're bringing in some housing, affordable housing, potential things like bowling alleys, other communities there. And so you're starting to go down that Caraway corridor in development. We've got to look and how can we go east and west. How can we further develop Legion Field, and what can we do there? Coming out east in my area, we've got a lot of amenities. We got a lot of opportunity there to continue to develop things. And so now it's about how can we begin to do a better job of spreading that growth out. Personally, I want to see the city take a larger impact in youth sports. And so I think one thing that historically just hasn't happened in Birmingham, the city hasn't played a major role in youth sports. And so we've got a lot of like smaller organizations that kind of put it together, but love to see the city invest heavily in some youth sports facilities and also really take a bigger role in the leagues and have more leagues for our youth.
So you mentioned youth sports. One of my concerns is with our youth, right, because we have such large amount of violence.
Absolutely.
And it's in our youth, I would say, for the most part, not exclusively, but we're not alone.
Oh, yeah.
We're not an aberration. It's nationwide. So I've always maintained that if we could get people early on in the process, right, and educate about conflict resolution or some diversions that get people off the street and into music or sports or things of that nature. So would you be coming at that at the middle school level? Is where you would have these?
No, we want to start. We want to start at 5 and 6. Like we want to get them early. We want to keep them engaged in sports, and you just want to build different options and pathways. And so, if you're interested in sports, I'm one that thinks every child should play sports. I mean, there's so many lessons learned from sports, but if you're interested in other things, music, arts, we need to create those pathways to get kids involved early, 5 and 6 years old, and keep them engaged. And there's just, you think about team building. I was fortunate to play sports. I probably started playing about 6 or 7. But just the lessons you learn from being a part of the team, working with other people, dealing with conflict early, how to resolve conflict early, discipline, hard work. You learn those things in sports, how to compete, how to compete, how to set a goal, and how to work towards that goal collectively. And so there's so much to be learned from sports that it's hard to learn in other places.
And that doesn't exist as we speak?
We've got some leagues that do a good job around the city, but I think if the city kind of brought a lot of that together, opened the door and pulled more kids in and invested in more in our youth sports facilities, I think we've got some opportunities. Looking around the country, there's places where the city actually runs a lot of the youth sports league and adult sports leagues, and I think that gives us a little bit more control to make sure what we want to see happen is happening with the investment in those kids year round.
Well, you mentioned east-west, and I know your district is east, and Legion Field is west, but there's more beyond Legion Field. And I know that Caraway is north, and the demolition and the construction that's going there, it appears to me that that's moving south toward protective staging. Is that what's going to happen there?
No, I've seen kind of the overview of what that development is going to be. So you've got the Star that's going to go basically on that Caraway site.
Thank goodness.
And there's a lot of housing and development. So you've got everything from condos to townhouses, just single family houses going on down further north, down that corridor.
Further north.
Yeah, so that corridor is looking to be developed. You ideally have a grocery store there. And so we're definitely excited to see kind of what the final vendors and stores that open there, probably some office space. And so we've heard some things, but I'm excited just to kind of get that process going. Another developer will go in there and do a good job and get us really the best vendors that we can bring in this area.
Is there a timeline?
Really, the building's supposed to be on the ground by this year, but somewhere in the next, I want to say 5 years, they should be able to get that thing fully completed. They're going to do it in phases, but getting it fully completed. So getting the building down, going and doing a structural assessment on the parking deck because they want to save that, add some additional parking in that area, which is not far from the stadium. And so
Parking is a problem, what I hear, for people that want to attend sporting events.
Yeah, that was a unique one for me because you do want to have some parking, but I grew up going to football games at Auburn. I've been to a lot of games in Atlanta, and you're probably going to walk. So it's not it's a product of having large scale events, and so we're looking at it. And I've talked to our parking board here, Birmingham Parking Authority, and we've got 7 parking decks kind of around in and around downtown area. Activated for park and ride. I think we have to just educate people about the opportunity because if you can park, whether it's at the Crossplex, whether it's at one of the parking decks 5 or 6 blocks away and take a shuttle. And one of the best things about the World Games, I think we showed how transit can really impact some of these events. And so we had a transit hub, and we had about 5 or 6 sites where you could get picked up and dropped off, and very efficient, So those are some things we can do. But yeah, I mean, we definitely need to add some parking, but I don't think we need to be looking to get 60,000 parking spaces in and around the field because that's just not what you see at other similar venues around the country.
We'll hold that thought, and we're going to come back and talk about District 1 in just a minute because that's probably the one you're most familiar with.
Yeah, I know it inside out.
This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham, talking to Clinton Woods, who is District 1's councilman. District 1 is east, and I know from conversations I've had with the mayor, there's concern about a food desert out there, and trying to get somebody out there to open up a grocery store. And I don't know if that's happened yet.
Right.
I know that there's been talk about it. I know that my family at one point had a food giant out there, but it's not there anymore.
Yeah, we wouldn't mind y'all coming back, but yeah, we
No, we got out of that business.
we've been
Everybody
working.
got too old.
We've worked in kind of our economic development team at the city, and we were able to get an incentive deal done to get a grocer there off the Parkway, and so we're really excited about that. We're still working, want to get one on the other side of the district, over on the Highway 79 side, but just excited to see the incentive dollars be spent in the district, and so that's something that we've got to keep doing and keep expanding to kind of bring in more of the things that we want to see. But we really just completed earlier this year redistricting, and so the lines of the district changed a little bit, and we shifted some of the things that were in the district might not be in the district anymore. And so we picked up a lot more of the commercial corridor on Center Point Parkway, also Roebuck Golf Course in Huffman Ballpark.
Rogusta. We call that Rogusta.
Rogusta, right here. And so it's exciting.
It's very similar to St. Andrews, actually, on a windy day.
Yeah, the trees are all the same, I tell you, when I'm looking for that golf ball. But they, bringing those type of amenities into the district, I think is significant. And so, we're just educating people on, what's in the district and what were the changes. Just the other day, we had our annual District 1 budget meeting where whenever we pass the budget, we just passed a new budget for July 1, the FY23 budget. So I like to really sit down with the district and just take them through what the budget is, what passed, what's in it for our district, and just answer any kind of questions that anybody has about the budget and where the money comes from and how we decide where it goes. And so I had a great meeting there, and so we're really just trying to be active in making sure we know what people want. Street paving has been a big thing, and so we were able to get $15 million into the budget this year for street paving, and so that's significant. And continuing that pace, we're starting to solve some of those issues and be able to move on. Big investment in our parks, and so just creating community spaces where there's something for everybody. You come out there, there's something for everybody.
Well, you mentioned it. Where does the money come from? And other than what you've just named, where does it go?
Yeah, so pretty much the majority, almost 90% of our revenue comes from business tax, and so right between 85 and 90% comes from business tax, and so that's
Sales tax,
the various business
Business
taxes, but sales tax is one of those.
occupational tax.
Use tax, and so you got a lot of things rolled into that. But basically, however the small business community, the corporations, the businesses in Birmingham go, that's how the city's going to go. And so we've been fortunate, with the exception of the kind of COVID year where there's a lot of uncertainty. Our budget has just grown and grown and grown since I've been around, and so that's just a direct product of adding businesses, growing businesses, and so we've been fortunate to do that. But yeah, we're heavily dependent on businesses in our city.
But it's fair to say that District 1 income is not limited to income from District 1 businesses.
Right, correct. Yeah, so we basically we bring in all those dollars and account for everything that we're going to get, and then we have to sit down and once the budget this year is $517 million, and so it's one
Total budget.
And so we have to look at that and figure out, all right, what are our priorities? 70 to 73 cents out of every dollar goes to employees, and so now we're working with the remaining 27 cents, and so we're figuring out what are our priorities. We got to provide services, trash pickup, recycling, you got to cut grass, and so there's so many things that residents expect, and so we have to figure out how to get all these things done with a finite amount of resources. And so it's juggling, it's back and forth, it's fussing, fighting sometimes, but it's really trying to check the boxes. I think we're fortunate to have all of really everybody is really working hard to try to provide for their constituents and achieve the goals that they want to see in their areas. But we've got to get that done.
In terms of revenue, are we flatlined? Are we increasing? Are we decreasing? And I know COVID probably was a downturn year. I'm guessing.
It really, we expected it to be down, but it wasn't as bad as projected. It wasn't anywhere near as bad as projected, which really just speaks to the strength of that business community and resilience. I think some sectors struggle. Restaurants struggle for a while with people not going out as much, but Home Depot and Lowe's went through the roof, and so you just unsure. But like I said, we've been fortunate. This is the largest budget City of Birmingham's ever had, $517 million, and so we've got to continue things to try to spark growth, with like whether bringing something like the World Games in, just whatever we can do to support that business community to just spark and attract other businesses. There's tons of businesses leaving places like California right now and relocating everywhere from Texas all the way to Florida. And so we want to, how can we attract in some of those things? And so that's continuing, knowing that all our revenue comes largely from businesses, is working to really pull that in so that we can provide as much as possible.
Yeah, I think it sort of builds off of itself.
Oh, yeah.
When more one thing comes in and attracts something else. So, well, I appreciate you taking the time from your day to be with us.
Absolutely.
Any parting words to people in your district or to the city that you'd like to share?
Yeah, like I said, just continue to point out and lift up your ideas and thoughts and issues, and we're going to continue to work on them and get them done.
Thanks a lot for being with us. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll see you next week.
I am blind, but I need not see. I know this road is there for me.
I think it's just vapor and flavors. It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes.
Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure love.